Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today I'm going to be talking about another episode of Lost Cinema. So yeah, where movies were supposed to be made, but for whatever reason they just weren't. That's what I'll be talking about today, folks, for this video. So as often said before, yes, even if you found your way to get yourself into the film industry, that doesn't necessarily mean that your film is going to be made. At least of your version, your vision of your film can be on screen. I'm not saying it can't be, but there are moments where it could show that it may be impossible. So maybe sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's not. It just depends on what you're talking about. But at times, yes, there'll be disagreements on how to carry the story, just how to execute it. Maybe it's just down to the premise. Maybe there's creative differences in a number of different ways. But for this movie specifically, I'm talking about, it's again one of these Godzilla films I'll be talking about. Boy, this one from 1994 to be more exact, I guess. And yeah, the thing is that there's a large number of Godzilla films that were supposed to have been made, but yeah, this one for example, yeah, it looks like one of those. It kind of reminds me of like you might see from something from Jurassic Park. Okay, just anything dinosaur related. So like it's trying to keep in the vein of that, I guess, into some respect, but still have the look of Godzilla himself. This iteration of the character was supposed to be like very dinosaur like, at least to some extent, I guess you would say, which doesn't seem far fetched really because the original character was on from the original film is supposed to be a mutated dinosaur. Really. I mean, okay, it never was extremely explicit of what creature really, but he was supposed to be a mutation, like the last one of his species, and that was it. And yes, it was to some extent it was kind of vague because there was a bit of mystery here, but I guess they were just going off of that to some extent. Even though ultimately we were left with this, which honestly it's one of the worst films I've ever seen. Holy hell, it's bad. I don't like remakes anyway, of course. I'm just saying. But yeah, the thing is that with the company of Toho, who's responsible for these movies anyway, in 1992, Toho has sold the rights to produce an American Godzilla film to Sony Pictures Entertainment, who aside the project with the new established company at the time, TriStar Pictures. And yeah, there were going to be two people who were brought in to write a script for the film, which actually was completed in 1994. So yeah, we already had two scriptwriters at this point. Yeah, it had these two individuals involved with the script writing. So yeah, the thing is was that TriStar was satisfied enough with the screenplay and began searching for directors. And the screenplay was pretty much done at this point. He got the intention of of a certain director, who's also actually really well known as well. Yeah, this director was going to be a part of the project here, folks. Yeah, he always saw the success, even though it was clearly panned. This remake, yeah, it was terrible. Also had something to do with this movie as well, in some shape or form. But okay, yeah, he's going to do some work for this version of the character, I guess you can say. And yes, in some ways, I can see why they would want him to be a part of this project in some ways because of the fact that, yeah, he made some success with movies such as, let me see here. Oh, yeah, Speed, which a lot of people seem to really like. So, okay, you have to have an audience, of course, obviously. You can't just get any new timer director, but he looks like with this, he made a name for himself right there. So, there was that. Yes and no. I know it was followed by that one terrible sequel. Obviously, yes. Ugh. Anyway, but like I said, I mean that was not the only movies that he was involved in any shape or form. He was also responsible for movies like I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard of it. Yeah, Twister. I mean, I didn't think it was particularly good by any means, but it did get his name out there. So that's the thing, folks. You gotta get your name out there some sort of fashion. But okay, like we're saying, he was going to be involved in this movie somehow. Yeah, the one director Yeah, and yeah, he wasted no time when it comes to this next assignment, of course, and whatnot. And that's the thing. He was definitely, I guess in some ways, he was in budget. When it comes to budget, of course, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot of money that's gonna be involved uh, for this, of course, and there's gonna be a lot of going on in that department to reduce the budget, of course, and that's the thing. That's definitely, I guess, in some ways, had to, in regards of the visual effects, had to provide visual effects for this Godzilla film, but had to wait while Sony Pictures retooled the project. The studio was basically trying to fix up the project as an attempt to reduce the budget. And this information came from, yeah, James Cameron. Yeah, this was around the time when the individual was working on Twister, I guess you can say, when James Cameron was speaking about this kind of stuff, when he was involved on day-to-day basis on the budget effects uh, contract and history on that film. It'd be interesting to see what the studio comes back with, and after pretty much rewriting the script, they would be given all the input on how to, I guess, maximize the bang for the buck, which in some ways is understandable because this is going to be a big budget film, I suppose. That's the thing when it comes to these companies. They want their money back when this film is finally released, of course. But anyway, basically being in front and center ready, willing to be able to play as creative as a role as they want him to play, as when it comes to tweaking up the visuals, I guess you can say, that they were pretty much manageable from a budget standpoint, of course. And yes, of course, there was again another person who was also involved in this project as well. Why? Yeah, this guy wanted to seriously reduce the budget even smaller. I guess you can say, and the whole point of that, according to this individual, he really wanted to pay like a tribute, like an homage to the really old Godzilla films from like way back when. So when it comes to production, he wanted to be in the style of Lance. And in some ways, okay, yeah, I can see what they were trying to do. It comes to the traditional approach because other films, it's not that there wouldn't be any digital effects. Yeah, there would be digital effects, but just minimize it, of course. And then on top of that, then the script itself would be revived, then revived. The script itself kept being revived quite a few times at this point. At least, yeah, several times, I guess. And as a way to bring down the budget, to be more workable, that was. Oh yeah, the thing is that the production was had to be reworked in some ways, of course. And yeah, what happens is that you get caught up in these kinds of numbers, and then someone would just had to come up with some sort of number. And yeah, because someone would say that maybe go up to 80 million, maybe better, or maybe go down to 70 million. Then someone will just come up and say maybe like could earn up to 30 million. The trouble is that of course, you can is that how can you make that money back? And like I said before, in terms of these production films, you have to get that money back. So yeah, as if it wasn't obvious enough, the director, like I was saying earlier, was attached to this project. We were doing pre-production anyway. Like I said way earlier, it was going to be for a 2006 summer release. Apparently, it's somewhere of yeah. The production was started. The whole idea started from 1992, then all the way to 1996, but quit at the end of 1994 with Sony Pictures Entertainment. Columbia Pictures and TriStar Pictures uh, refused to approve his budget request. He was eventually replaced by a different director, of course. Yeah, the original director was replaced with someone else because I guess you can say they couldn't agree on what to do specifically when it comes to the budget. Maybe it was too much. I don't know. But like I keep saying, folks, They have to get that money back. That's how this business works. I mean, yeah, it's good to have a bigger budget, and that's the thing. One of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to these to any movie doesn't matter if it's an A-listed movie or a B movie or whatever. Yeah, like I said, a triple A movie or just a super low budget film like a B film, it doesn't matter. Whatever the case may, they want to make that money back. Not just that plus profit. They want to make that money. Okay, let's say for argument's sake, let's say they went for the $80 million mark for the budget. They want that money back plus profit. So it should make two times, three times, four times the money back. The more the merrier, of course. But the more money you put into the budget, the more of a risk of that would be, of course. But like I said, the director they had in mind was eventually replaced, obviously, with some other director, and you couldn't actually guess who that what actually was. Yeah, he was definitely the replacement director, and he scrapped everything just to make this movie, which yes is terrible. It's really awful. And from what I heard, he has a boyfriend and whatnot, and they live together all happily and whatnot. But good for you, I guess. But you still made a power of shit. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. Holy hell, goddamn, it was awful. And of course, just because you're part of the LGBT plus community does not put you above criticism. And no, this does not mean I'm agreeing with this prick. And he's just going after Disney and gay folks just because they're gay. That's it. That's not how you criticize somebody. That's not how you do it. Like, at all. And just because I support Disney and the LGBT plus community does not mean I'm going to go to some middle school somewhere, kidnap a kid or two, and abuse them somehow. That's not what's going on here whatsoever. So don't be thinking I'm criticizing the remake of Godzilla just because of the individual sexual orientation. He's free to be with whoever he wants, as long as they're of age. They're not being forced to do it or manipulated to do anything, of course. That goes for anybody, obviously. So people like this don't seem to understand that they're not trying to destroy your freedom of speech and whatnot. I know it's kind of weird. I know some people might think it's weird that I'm bringing politics into this. Well, remember the original Godzilla film has politics, so yeah, about that. Just this entire video is completely stupid. Just what the hell is wrong with these people? Christ, I mean, really, my faith in humanity. So I guess, if anything, it makes me wonder what could have been when it comes to this project. What could have potentially have been? As far you know, it could have been much better. It was just scrapped because they couldn't come up with some sort of agreement and whatnot. And yeah, that's it's just unfortunately that's what happened, of course. So like I was saying, there was quite a few rewrites, of course, and definitely what happened here. And but yeah, so they went to the one replacement director, of course. TriStar approached him, and who, of course, had something to do with the movies like the first Independence Day and the second one as well. I guess you can say, and they accepted the project under the condition that could Pumas dismiss the script entirely. So yeah, it was again re-script, of course, rewritten the script. I mean, so yeah, they just want to rework the entire thing into the way they wanted, of course. And I stated that I guess it was more focused on special effects. But according to them, the replacement director, he said that do not, I guess, do some sort of commentary over the original script that they had in the beginning, and claimed that it wasn't a story that they wanted to tell. They wanted to put some elements from the original script and maybe change most of it. So maybe bits and pieces from the original script was placed into the finished product. So of course, Reed just completely and utterly redesigned the main character, the monster. I mean, of course, and put more heavily focus on dinosaurs. Which, if you ask me, comes off more of a rip-off of the Jurassic Park movies, which kind of was when you think about it. So yeah, it's just unfortunately that it didn't ultimately come into the what could have been. Unfortunately, so yeah. Just the fact that their remake. Well, okay, I guess you say remake is loose right here because it really has nothing to do with the original character. But point being, it did his version of the character did have quite a bit of money. So yeah, they already had a script writer for one of the re re rewritten scripts, of course, to ultimately just be thrown out the window, just to have somebody else, okay, some other people, redo the entire thing again. Yes, it was these people. If you notice, there's a pattern here, of course. Yeah, like the budget was maybe like the budget itself was maybe too big, I guess you can say, and whatnot. So yeah, the thing is that they already had a huge amount of concept art. I mean, a lot of concept art that was already done for this movie. So yeah, it's kind of sad. There was like plenty of effort that was already done for this, just for ultimately just be thrown to the side. So I mean, it sucks. But there you go. I guess it's just unfortunate. This is definitely a thing that had occurred, of course, and yeah, it's just unfortunately that this had to come in this kind of way. Because yeah, it looks like they even had a monster because of the fight. Really, yeah, there was going to be a monster for him to fight as well. So yes, this monster looked pretty interesting. Looks like pretty cool. I mean, that became like a tradition when it comes to these movies, having Godzilla fight off another monster or monsters, because sometimes he might fight more than one. But anyway, that kind of depends on the movie. But anyway, by the looks of it, yeah, he was going to fight off this creature and just pretty much cause havoc, I guess you can say, and just cause a huge amount of destruction. And yeah, it looks like there was some storyboards, at least at least rough sketches of a storyboard anyway for this movie. They had like a lot of stuff produced, like an actual model based upon this version of the character. So yeah, there was already quite a bit of work that was already done for this project. So yeah, they had already had plenty to have together. Of course, plenty of done when it comes to the screenplay, the characters. Of course, the meditation is going to be involved in one way or another because again, that's like a thing for the Godzilla movies. So yeah, they actually had a plot line, of course, for this kind of a thing. They had an idea for the overall story. Human drama, of course, was going to be in the movie in some shape or form, obviously, because they have to connect the overall story somehow. Because one thing a lot of people don't seem to understand is that yes, the monster stuff is important, of course, and he doesn't necessarily have to fight any monsters, but still need to be involved in the story somehow. But the human drama is also an important element of these movies. It can't just be some mindless action movie, which ultimately this movie became, completely ignoring what made Godzilla Godzilla. You could at least try to keep the spirit of the character attacked into the project, of course, which in a lot of ways they did with this version, of course. In some respects, they kept the overall idea, of course, and whatnot. So it just makes me wonder what could have been. Obviously, what could have actually ultimately been if, for all you know, this could have been. It looks like it would have been a much better film as a result of everything. All right, let me just put my closing thoughts here because this video is getting rather long. So I do appreciate anybody for watching this, of course, obviously. So whoever you are, thank you ahead of time. So there was definitely plenty of work that was done in more ways than one. So yeah, there were a lot of people involved, and I do mean a lot of individuals that was involved in the project in one way or another. So that was definitely a thing that was there. So what the hell? What the hell? I guess in some ways it's just frustrating because it makes you wonder what could ultimately have been if this was actually done, properly. And look, by the looks of it, it seems like they went in the right direction. Of course, it looks like they knew what they were doing and whatnot. So it just, I don't know anymore. It just seemed like they could have had something really special here, which they obviously they didn't really go with. Of course, I just wish they're done with it. I just wish they could have gone in this direction instead of what was ultimately done. Unfortunately, man, just I don't know anymore. Just I don't know. And oh yeah, remember this guy? He whom was a part of the Alien franchise, the production or whatever, in some form or shape, I guess you can say. Yeah, he was involved in this project in some way, in some capacity, I guess, as well. So there you go. What the hell? So yeah, you can actually see the figure in the background right there of the Unmaker Zero film for this specific project. It's right there in the background. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that that's how it was. So there you go, I guess. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that this is how this film was ultimately done. It was ultimately scrapped, even though bits and pieces, like I said, was used in the final project. Only bits and pieces, but as a whole, it's totally different. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and take care until next time. See ya. Oh yeah.